Ladies and gentlemen, the fastest way to lose someone's respect is to keep showing up for them when they've stopped showing up for you. Let's face it, every time you excuse their silence, every time you accept their absence without consequence, you teach them one thing: that ignoring you comes at no cost. But what if you flip that? What if your absence became more powerful than your presence? Today, we're going to uncover how to make someone feel the weight of taking you for granted, without raising your voice, without chasing, and without losing your dignity for a single second. Self-value is not something granted to you by another person's recognition. It is the truth of who you are, woven into your very existence. The world will try to measure you by shifting scales: the attention you receive, the compliments you collect, the invitations you're offered. But true worth is never determined by these. It exists before anyone notices you, before anyone affirms you, before anyone chooses you. The danger comes when you forget this truth and begin allowing others to dictate your sense of importance. When their focus drifts away, you may feel yourself shrinking. When they ignore you, you may question your place. Yet the truth is, their inattention does not subtract from your value. It reveals theirs. It shows whether they are capable of honoring the treasure in front of them. When you anchor yourself in the reality that your worth is non-negotiable, you stop being desperate for validation. You stop chasing those who look past you. You stop lowering your standards to secure temporary closeness. Instead, you carry yourself differently. You speak differently. You walk into a room knowing you bring something priceless to the table. And those who fail to see it are simply not meant to hold it. This is not pride, it is stewardship. It is guarding what is sacred. Your time, your energy, your love. These are not trinkets to be thrown to those who look away. They are jewels, and jewels are never left unattended for anyone to take as they please. Distance is not always a punishment, it is often a mirror. When you step back, the space you create reflects the reality of the connection. Presence can hide many truths, but absence strips away illusions. If they value you, they will feel the void you leave. They will notice the silence where your voice once brought life. They will remember the steadiness you once offered when they stood on unsteady ground. And if they do not notice, if the gap you leave behind is met with indifference, then you have learned the truth without having to fight for it. It is a law woven into human nature. What is always available is rarely valued. People are wired to pursue what they might lose, to guard what they fear slipping from their hands. When you remove yourself from a place where you are not respected, you are not being cruel. You are restoring balance. You are saying, without speaking, my presence is not free. My attention is not automatic. My heart is not open to neglect. This quiet stance speaks louder than confrontation. It trains others to understand the cost of ignoring you. Your absence will either awaken their awareness or confirm their neglect. Both outcomes are gifts. One restores the relationship in respect. The other frees you from the burden of being unseen. And in both, you stand in your dignity, knowing that you did not diminish yourself to be noticed. Respect is not given freely. It is taught, reinforced, and guarded through boundaries. People learn how to treat you based on what you allow. When you set no limits, you invite disregard. When you accept neglect without consequence, you teach that your presence can be taken for granted. Boundaries are not walls to keep others out. They are gates that protect the sacred space of your worth. They tell the world, this is where I end and where you must honor my humanity if you wish to remain. Without them, relationships drift into imbalance, with one giving endlessly and the other taking without thought. Enforcing a boundary does not require anger. It requires clarity. It is knowing what you will and will not accept. It is saying no when your heart longs to say yes out of fear. It is stepping back when staying would require you to shrink. And in that act of drawing a line, you communicate to the other person that access to you is not a right, but a privilege. This lesson is not just for them. It is for you. Every time you uphold a boundary, you remind yourself that your dignity is worth protecting, even at the cost of someone's approval. Silence has a way of reaching places words cannot. There are times when explaining, pleading, or arguing only feeds the cycle of being ignored. Words can be dismissed, twisted, or forgotten, but the absence of your voice carries a weight that cannot be escaped. When you stop speaking into a void, you stop participating in your own devaluation. Silence becomes your declaration. It says, "I will not spend my breath where it is not received." This is not the silence of weakness. It is the silence of strength. It is a decision to conserve your energy for places where it will bear fruit. It is understanding that some truths are only learned when the sound of your presence is gone. For the one who has ignored you, that silence becomes a mirror, showing them the emptiness left behind. And if they choose to continue, as if nothing is missing, the truth becomes clear. You were never truly seen, and your departure only revealed it. Silence also shifts the focus back to you. When you stop pouring out into someone who does not value it, you have more to invest in yourself, your growth, your peace, your purpose. You move from a posture of seeking their attention to standing firm in your own. And in that shift, you change the power dynamic entirely. No longer is the other person in control of your worth. You are. Your energy is a currency more valuable than gold, for it cannot be replaced once spent. Every thought, every moment, every act of care is an investment, and the returns are determined by where you place it. When you continually pour it into someone who does not reciprocate, you are making an unwise trade. You are giving your most precious resource in exchange for emptiness. Over time, this creates a quiet exhaustion, a depletion of spirit that creeps in unnoticed. You find yourself drained, not because you have given, but because you have given where there was no return. Just as a wise investor diversifies and guards their resources, you must protect your energy. It is not selfish to be selective, it is stewardship. The truth is, those who truly value you will never require you to beg for their attention or prove your worth repeatedly. They will meet your investment with their own. But for those who do not, your withdrawal is not an act of spite. It is the only way to stop the leak in your spirit. By taking back your energy, you reclaim the power to invest it into the places, people, and purposes that will multiply it, not waste it. Walking away is not always a sign of ending. It is often the beginning of clarity. Distance removes the fog of emotion and reveals the reality of the connection. Sometimes it shows the other person what they stand to lose, awakening them to a truth they had overlooked. Other times, it reveals that there was never the depth you hoped for, that your place in their life was one of convenience, not of value. Both revelations are vital, for they free you from the prison of uncertainty. There is a deep strength in releasing what will not hold you. To stay in a place where you are ignored is to slowly teach yourself that neglect is acceptable, but to step away, to remove yourself from the table where you are no longer fed, is to declare to your own heart that you will not live hungry for scraps when you were made for a feast. And the moment you do, your life begins to shift. You notice opportunities you had overlooked. You find relationships where you are celebrated, not tolerated. You step into spaces where your presence is met with gratitude, not indifference. The price of ignoring you must be the loss of you, not out of revenge, but out of respect for your own soul. When you walk away from what diminishes you, you walk toward what was meant for you. And in that journey, you discover that the most powerful response to being ignored is not to demand attention. It is to become so deeply anchored in your worth that their silence no longer shakes you.